For the longest time, figuring out what a building was worth in New York City, it was pretty straightforward. But that's all changing. Right now, the entire rulebook is being thrown out. And the biggest new factor in all of this, it's all about a building's environmental footprint.
Just let that sink in for a minute. What if a building's biggest financial risk wasn't a leaky roof, but its energy bill? We're talking about a whole new world here, where being green isn't just a feel-good thing. Nope, it's become a core financial metric. And this one idea, it's completely changing the game for how people make and lose a ton of money in NYC real estate.
Yeah, exactly. The old mantra of location, location, location. Look, it's still a big deal, of course. And yeah, square footage matters. But here's the thing. If that's all you're looking at, you are missing a massive part of the story. And that missing piece, it could literally be worth millions.
So what's causing this huge shakeup? Well, it all comes down to one really powerful piece of legislation. Let's dive into something called Local Law 97.
Okay, this is the heart of it. Local Law 97 basically turned the whole city into a high-stakes battleground over building emissions. It puts these really strict limits on carbon for most big buildings. And if you go over those limits, wham, you get hit with some serious financial penalties. All of a sudden, how much energy a building sucks up has a direct, and I mean very real, impact on its bottom line.
Right, so this new reality is basically splitting buildings into two camps. You've got the winners and you've got the losers. Let's start with the ones that are in real trouble, what the industry is calling brown buildings.
And it's a pretty straightforward idea, but man, it's powerful. We're talking about buildings with old, clunky HVAC systems, terrible insulation. You know the type. The ones with crazy high energy bills. Well, now those buildings are facing a serious day of reckoning, financially speaking.
And I really want you to focus on that phrase, massive devaluations. This isn't some small market correction, folks. We're talking about the risk of future fines and the huge cost to upgrade. All of that is now being baked right into the property's price tag. It can literally wipe millions off a building's value almost overnight.
Okay, check this out. This really lays out the two paths a building can go down. On one side, you've got the brown buildings. They're getting slammed with penalties from Local Law 97, which of course tanks their net operating income, their actual profit. This leads to something called carbon-related asset depreciation. It sounds complicated, but it just means their value is dropping because they pollute. But then, look at the other side, the green buildings. They're playing by the rules, they're making more money, and they get this amazing reward, access to the green premium.
All right, so enough about the doom and gloom, right? Let's talk about the flip side, the reward. Because for every building that's in trouble, there's another one looking at a huge opportunity. This is where we get to the good stuff, the green premium payoff.
And here it is, the big number. We're talking a 10 to 15% premium in the market for efficient buildings. That's a massive difference. This isn't just about shaving a few bucks off the electric bill anymore. This is about adding serious, tangible cash value to the property itself.
This quote just nails it. The whole way of thinking has changed. It's not just about square footage anymore. Now you absolutely have to understand a building's energy use, its BTU efficiency. That's the new ruler for measuring value, just as important as being compliant with the law.
So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. We've got to stop looking at green upgrades as just another cost. In today's New York City market, efficiency is a financial asset, period. It makes you more money, it lowers your risk, and it makes the building itself worth more.
Okay, so if the old way of doing things is broken, then how in the world do you actually measure this new kind of value? Well, it takes a totally different way of thinking. It's something called the forensic approach. Think of it less like a typical appraisal and more like a financial CSI investigation. These guys go in and put an exact dollar amount on everything. The risk of future fines, they quantify it. The potential profit from a new geothermal system, they calculate that too. It's a way, way deeper analysis.
So how does this actually work? Well, it breaks down into 3 basic steps. First, the experts dig into all the hard energy data. Then, they run the numbers to figure out the real return on investment for specific upgrades, things like better windows or a new heating system. And finally, they bake in all the legal risks to give you the full, unvarnished financial picture.
And this is exactly why your average appraiser just can't do this. You need a specialist, a certified green appraiser, someone who goes way beyond just looking at what the building next door sold for. Their reports are so solid, they can stand up to scrutiny from big-time investors, even the IRS. And here's the kicker.
They find the hidden value or the hidden risk that everyone else is missing.
So when all is said and done, what's the one thing to remember? It's this. I don't care if you're an owner, an investor, or a bank. If you ignore a building's energy performance in New York City right now, you are 100% leaving money on the table. Or even worse, you're about to step on a financial landmine you never even saw.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question, doesn't it? New York is leading the charge here for sure, but they're not going to be alone for long. As other cities all over the world start rolling out similar green laws, this intense focus on efficiency is probably going to be the new normal, everywhere. So the real question is, what's next? How are we going to define value in a world that's going green?